Alright, so UFC 312, Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis 2 is coming up, and absolutely nobody cares, okay, and rightfully so. This card is absolutely atrocious, honestly a disgrace to Australian people. I would be so mad if I was an Australian right now, but I want to talk about how bad this card is, and more importantly, what makes this such a bad card. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about UFC 312, whether you love it or whether you hate it, and while you're down there, I'd really appreciate if you could like, subscribe. We're so close to 500 subs. Anyway, let me get into it. Honestly, at first, I didn't think that UFC 312 was even that bad, okay? I thought the prelims were actually really good until I realized I was looking at the main card, okay? This is insane to me how they thought that revealing that main card was going to get anybody hyped, okay? When they showed the UFC 312 at UFC 311, I genuinely cannot explain the shock on my face when I saw Justin Tafa and Jimmy Crute on the main card. I actually could not believe it because these guys are like Apex fighters, okay? This card actually looks like an Apex card, and I remember when everyone was saying that UFC 306 was just an Apex card put in the sphere, okay? But this card is genuinely just an Apex card on a pay-per-view, okay? Talison Teixeira versus Justin Tafa, I'm pretty sure this wasn't even like on the main card of the Apex card it was supposed to be on, because that fight was cancelled and moved on to UFC 312, and somehow now it's the featured bout. Anyway, I want to talk about what makes the main event so bad, okay? This fight has absolutely no hype, and I'm sure it's going to be a good fight. I am somewhat excited for this. You know, it might be a war, who knows? But the thing is, what made the first one so exciting was that it was a whole, like, month's worth of build-up, okay? Because about, like, a month before this fight actually happened, there was a press conference that detailed the first 3 pay-per-views that were going to happen, okay? The first one being Dricus du Plessis versus Sean Strickland, which, like, on paper, no one really cared about. But the moment they started talking, and Sean Strickland started shit-talking, and Dricus du Plessis started talking, it just went absolutely crazy, okay? Dricus du Plessis was on his Meet the Grahams type shit, okay? And then we had the whole brawl between Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis, which was absolutely wild and one of the most like craziest moments of the year. And then we had the press conference before the fight, which was also wild because Dricus du Plessis was saying how he's gonna beat Sean Strickland like his father beat him. And then Sean Strickland started crying, okay? This is like one of the most craziest beefs probably in like UFC history. Like, it was pretty bad. And they're just not going to be able to replicate that, okay? Because I'm pretty sure they, like, squashed the beef. And even if they didn't, I feel like if they just start it all over again, it's just not going to be the same. Like, you know, there's not really any way they're going to get us hyped. Especially after Sean Strickland absolutely lost all his aura. Which I need to get into, because I wanted to make a whole video about this, but I think it's better explained than this. Because it just clearly shows why this fight just has absolutely no hype, okay? Now, I think Sean Strickland is the biggest reason this fight just has absolutely no hype. Because Sean Strickland just completely ruined his, like, reputation and hype completely, okay? There was a point in time where Sean Strickland was like in a huge star. Everybody liked this guy. Now, on how Sean Strickland lost his hype. So it basically started when Sean Strickland beat Israel Adesanya. This is kind of when he just started gaining a ton of momentum, because beating Israel Adesanya was crazy. Nobody thought this guy was going to do it. It was maybe one of the biggest upsets in UFC history. He absolutely dominated Israel Adesanya too. It was like a 49-46. And then people started warming up to him because Sean Strickland had a lot of like edgy jokes, which a lot of people thought was really funny. He talked a lot about how to be a man and stuff, which a lot of people related to. And on top of that, this guy was just so entertaining. The way this guy would talk and his like whole like life story was so insane, okay? All the stuff that he had to deal with in his childhood, the way he grew up, and the way he became a fighter was very interesting. And he talked so much about how he didn't care about the belt, and he was just a very relatable guy overall. And he was on Nina Drama a lot. He had a lot of funny videos on there. He was just absolutely insane, the way that he would talk about how much he wanted to kill people. But again, it was very entertaining. It was all for entertainment. And then the Dricus du Plessis fight happens. The whole build-up is absolutely insane. Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis are just going at it constantly. The fight happens. It's an absolute war. It's a banger fight. Maybe one of the greatest middleweight title fights of all time. And then Sean Strickland loses, okay, by a fight that a lot of people thought that Sean Strickland won, okay, and I still stand by this to this day. I feel like some people have switched their opinion on this, but I still truly believe that Sean Strickland won the third round, because it was 2-2 outside of that, but in that third round, I still think that Sean Strickland won, and a lot of people thought that Sean Strickland won that fight, okay, even Dana White thought that Sean Strickland won. It was absolutely insane, which led to even more people liking him, because he actually handled the loss pretty well, and a lot of people did think he won, so even more people were on his side now after that loss, which is pretty crazy. And then from here, it kind of does go downhill, because nothing really happens from there to UFC 302, where, he fights Paulo Costa. And Paulo Costa was basically a layup fight, because Sean Strickland wanted an immediate rematch. Dana's like, fine, you can fight Paulo Costa. Pretty easy fight to get you back into the title picture. And he absolutely smokes Paulo Costa in one of the most boring fights of the year. Okay, Sean Strickland is a guy who's constantly talking about, bro, we're gonna go to war just for you guys. And he goes out there and goes like to a jab and teep decision, and it's just terrible, okay? And there was so much like trash talk to it, well, kind of trash though. They were kind of like falling in love at the press conference, but you know, between Paulo Costa and Sean Strickland, this was supposed to be a banger, yet both these guys like barely even wanted to hit each other. It was so bad, okay? And I think a lot of people turned on him after this because of just how boring it was. Even though I think it was kind of both their fault, it wasn't just Sean Strickland's fault, but this is where he just absolutely ruins his reputation, okay? This is when he just starts acting really weird. And remember what I said at the beginning, Sean Strickland, he was talking about how everyone should be a man and how he had this crazy upbringing and stuff, and you know, and how much he just didn't care about the belt. But after this, he doesn't really want to fight Robert Whittaker for #1 contenders, okay? Because I felt like that was a pretty easy fight to make, and I think they probably should have done that. But Sean Strickland absolutely refused to fight anybody until he got the title shot. He wanted the title shot above anything else, and he was constantly crying, saying that he deserved an immediate rematch, he needs his fight, he's gonna fight soon, blah blah blah, and how much he wants the belt back, after saying how much he doesn't care about the belt. And then he goes on Nina Drama, and this guy acts like such a weirdo now, by the way. He's so like he's not even like he's down bad for Nina. I'm really not sure how to describe his behavior towards Nina now. Like, the videos aren't even funny. He's just like, oh my god, guys, my childhood was so bad, bro, you guys need to feel bad for me, guys. Like, it's just that's like how he acts constantly now. It's so strange. Like, the way that Sean Strickland acts now is such a contrast to the guy that we liked before, the guy with the edgy jokes and all of that. He's just really like not the same anymore. I don't know what happened to him after losing to Dricus du Plessis. I don't know if that just like completely broke him, but he acts so strange now. It's just like completely ruined his like almost like his reputation and all of his hype, which I think just going into this fight, it's just like, I don't care. Like, you know, Sean Strickland's not this like fan favorite guy anymore, and Dricus du Plessis, he beat Ezra Adesanya and made him cry as well, and on top of that, he doesn't really seem to care about this fight as well. It doesn't even excite him at all. He's talking about Khamzat Chimaev, which is just like, that fight is so much more entertaining. Meanwhile, Sean Strickland, he just had a boring performance. He's lost all his aura and hype. And on top of that, like, no one even really cares about this either, because on top of that, it's a rematch. But I think that's a big reason to why no one cares, whether it's like subconscious or not, because I don't think a lot of people really talk about this or think about it. But the rest of the card, it kind of just sucks just because nobody cares. Like, Zhang Weili versus Tatiana Suarez, even though it's a title fight, like, it's also WMMA, so, you know, no one really cares about that. But then the rest of the main event is just absolutely terrible. Like, I mean, the featured bout, like I said, Justin Tafa versus Talison Teixeira. Look, I really was excited for this fight, and I'm really excited for it still, because, look, Talison Teixeira, I think this guy's going to absolutely smoke Justin Tafa. But, look, he's a Dana White Contender Series guy. He just made his, like, this is his UFC debut, and he's on the featured bout, because there's just absolutely no one else. Like, why didn't they not plan for this ahead? You know, instead of putting Leon Edwards versus JDM on the card of a fight night, like, why not put that as the, you know, featured bout of this? Maybe, you know, Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez, they could have made that. Carlos Prates wants to fight, they could put them on there too. But for some reason, you have Jimmy Crute versus Rodolfo Bellato. Who cares? Okay, Jake Matthews versus Francis Prado. I don't even know who Francis Prado is. Okay, the rest of the prelims I think are fine. They're not that good though. That's the thing. It's like, bro, Jack Jenkins, he's a pretty good prospect. And then look at this, Hyung Sung Park versus Nyamjao Tumbendenderel, bro. Like, who the hell even, like, bro, like, who are they getting, bro? These guys are absolute just like randoms they're just putting on the card, okay? Another pretty good fight that I am excited for is Cody Haddon versus Alexander Topuria. I think that's a great fight. Tom Nolan versus Vyacheslav Borlachev, that's a good fight as well. And then, bro, Anshul Jubli versus Quinlan Salakid. Are you kidding me, bro? Anshul Jubli, bro. Why is this on the card? And then Wang Kong versus Bruno Brazil. I think this is a good fight. I think Wang Kong might win this. And then another good prospect, Jonathan Miakaf. You know, this guy's a Dana White Contender Series guy, had a pretty good KO. I think it was a KO or a submission. And then Kevin Doucette. This should be on the main card, okay? If any of these fights should be on the main card, it should probably be one of these ones. You know, Wang Kong versus Bruno Brazil. These guys with an actual name. Bro, why is Jimmy Crute and Jake Matthews? I know people might know them more, but it's like, who cares? Those aren't fights like anyone would actually care about or should be on the main card. And they're not even going to be exciting, okay? Jake Matthews and Jimmy Crute, like, I don't think either of those are remotely exciting fights at all. This card is genuinely terrible. I don't know what they're doing. I was really hoping they were just going to, like, you know, 1 week out, crazy events happening, okay? Absolutely wild main event just comes together. But it's just not. Like, these fights are absolutely terrible, and I'm still looking forward to it, but I don't really care. Honestly, I think one of the craziest parts is that this is just like 10 times worse than the fight nights that's coming up. How is a Saudi Arabia fight night better than an actual pay-per-view? It's wild to me. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about the card. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Thanks for watching and like, subscribe. Alright.